Grab yourself some coffee or tea because it's time to craft with me, IndieAnnieJones. Welcome to my channel. If you haven't been here before, I guarantee we'll have fun and you'll be inspired when you're done. Let's get started. Today I'm upcycling some thrifted items with my friends Monica, Jody, Lisa, Dawn, and Zaina. Let's see what I came up with for today. We're on a journey to Wonderland with this first DIY. I introduce you to the hideous fish clock. This fish clock has been roaming around my office for 5 years until finally I decided to bring it home. But this was a terror. Those little tchotchkes on it, oh my gosh, I had to use a heat gun. I tried everything. I finally had to just pry it off with a flathead screwdriver. And you can see the result. It's really bad. I had to really dig in there and, I screwed up some of the wood, but it's okay because we're going to paint it. You know what you do when you screw something up? You paint it. And that's what we're going to do here. So I decided to just paint the trim of the wood because I decided that I was going to do decoupage on the wood itself. And there you go. I'm using some folk art from plaid. I want to paint forever. Yes, I'm happy. I'm glad that I'm back in plaid. Back in plaid? I guess that's a thing. And especially during the fall season, who wouldn't want to be back in plaid? So yes, I am once again a plaid ambassador. Unfortunately, I couldn't pull the little clock out because I would have been perfect just to be able to decoupage everything without the clock there, and I was afraid to break it because of course it's made out of, plastic. Now this is a very old clock. I mean, it's got to be at least from the 80s, so it was very well made. It's made of actual wood. It's not resin, so I didn't want to damage it any more than I already had. So here I'm using this paper from Temu. They had Alice in Wonderland theme paper, and I thought, how perfect. This is exactly what I needed. And as you know, I am doing a journey to Wonderland because I am decorating 2 rooms in a 100-year-old estate here in South Florida, and the theme is Alice in Wonderland, and we're decorating for Christmas. So as you can see, I am decoupaging. I'm making just putting all these papers together. It's going to be like a multi-dimensional type of work. And of course, if you're using Alice in Wonderland, we have to have that Mackenzie Childs kind of look. So yeah, think about Mackenzie Childs, Alice in Wonderland. It's whimsical, it's fun, and it's making this clock a heck of a lot better looking than it was when I brought it home. It was just ugly. I mean, I guess it's a very manly clock. I don't know, guys, chime in if you received this clock as a present, maybe an anniversary present, or maybe it was a present from the organization. Said, hey, thank you for your 15 years of service. Here's a fish clock. I don't know, could happen. Now, Kudu is very nice. She's helping me out, making sure I don't lose my papers. So on the inside of that clock, I decided to night night, Kudu. Oh, it's nap time. No, it's not nap time. It's time to keep working on this. Now, this was printed out. I just found this image, and I printed it out, and I wanted to age the paper. So I'm using this stamp pad, and it's perfect because I can age the paper without getting it too wet, and I'm just adding a little bit of color instead of having it all black and white. Now, I couldn't find my paints, but I could find my eyeshadow. So, big yawn from Kudu. So again, I'm using my eyeshadow just to add a little more color. Back in the day, they used to do this. They used to print things out in black and white, and then they would actually do a soft watercolor or pastels to the drawings that were in the fairy tales. So that's the classic Alice, written by James Carroll. James Carroll? I think it's James Carroll. Lewis Carroll. Carroll Lewis. You guys know what it is. Tell me what it is. Lewis Carroll. That's what it is. I don't know where James Carroll came from, but he came in. Maybe that's his middle name. Anyway, here I am placing that beautiful picture of Alice falling through the rabbit hole. We've all done that. We've gone through the rabbit hole. Go on Amazon or Temu or any of these other places that you can go shopping. And yes, you will go down a rabbit hole and find things that you didn't need but always wanted. So here I am adding all these little elements. So there's a little bottle that would say, eat me or drink me. And now I'm going to make a little teacup and teapot. I used a mold that I have, and I just used hot glue as I have in the past. If you saw my last Alice in Wonderland themed video, you can see where I used the mold, and the mold I found on Temu. Exactly. Now, for risers, if you can't find a piece of wood that's big enough or small enough, you can just cut up your glue sticks, and it's better because it's clear, so it won't be as visible. And I just wanted to make sure that Alice actually looked like in 3D, like she was falling through the rabbit hole and bringing herself down to Wonderland. So I thought this was a really cool trick, and it really does make a difference when you put it. Look how cool that looks. It just really looks like Alice is actually falling. I kind of wish that the clock had a pendulum, because that's where I would have put Alice's, on the pendulum of the clock. That would have been pretty neat too. And as you can see, I'm adding a lot of stickers. Here I'm adding a cupcake. I'm going to put Eat Me. Again, that was a cupcake from the mold. You can make a cupcake. You don't need to use a mold. You can make a cupcake out of clay. And I just think adding all these little elements, makes it more interesting. And especially if it's something so fanciful and whimsical as Alice in Wonderland. I think the more little elements that I can add to kind of invite you into this Wonderland escape, I think the better it is. So again, here I'm doing my little teapot, and I'm doing a little teacup as well, and I'm actually going to have tea pouring out of the teapot into the teacup. And again, most of these elements I found on Temu, but you can also find these on Amazon. I have these little stickers and those cards. You can find a lot of these drawings also free at Graphics Fairy. Sorry about it. Vintage Alice in Wonderland. Free images on graphicsfairy.com. So here I'm just making that teapot pour the tea right into that little teacup. And I'll paint it with a little bit of glaze, but there you go. That's the basic look. Now come back for the final reveal. Let's make some fabric pumpkins. Now, I have been approached by Vevor to review their sewing machine. And I thought, well, I already have sewing machines. I really don't need another one. But there's the manual, and there's little Kudu. She's going to help me with this sewing machine. But it's always helpful to have, these other sewing machines just in case yours breaks down. Now, look at this little kit that they sent, and I thought that was wonderful. What I loved about this machine is that it's small and compact, yet very powerful. There's a little pedal, and there's little Luna, who's also observing me as I unbox this Vevor sewing machine, or Vevor. Not sure how it's said. Vevor. Excuse me, I'll say it. Vevor. I like it. Vevor. And there you have it. As you can see, it has different stitchings available to it on the front, and here I'm just gathering everything together to start our project. Now, this skirt I found at Goodwill for only $2. It's a beautiful fabric. I love the black roses on this cream, and I thought how perfect to create a very elegant pumpkin. So using the Vevor machine, and of course my little Luna to help me here, I'm going to be cutting out the pattern for my pumpkins. Luna is very cute, and I think she matches this fabric so well. I thought, wow, it would be cute to make a little cape for her. I wish they would let us put them in costumes, but I understand that cats really don't like that. But she didn't mind having that draped over her shoulders for a little bit. Now, I just came up with this leaf design. I don't know if it really worked or not, but it was my design that I came up with, and I just cut it out of a piece of paper to cut all of my patterns. Now again, I could have gone online and found a pattern of my own, and possibly I should have. You'll see the end result. I don't know how I feel about it. I like it. I think it's cute. I don't know if you would say it's exactly a pumpkin, but it's pumpkin-like, I suppose. But the fabric makes it so beautiful that the only regret I have is that I didn't make it bigger, because it would have made a beautiful, beautiful pillow for like a bed, for an elegant evening bed kind of thing for Halloween or fall. So here I'm going to use the Vevor machine to sew it all together. And thank you, Guru. She's holding down all of my little petals of fabric so that they don't get lost and they don't fall down. It was so cute to be sewing alongside my little kittens. They're not kittens, they're a year old, but they're always there beside me. And she's checking and making sure that everything is just going perfectly as I create this pumpkin. And all I'm doing here is putting the right sides together and sewing each petal to the petal previous, and just going around and around and around. As you can see there, I'm just pinning them. And you know, people will say, well, why don't you just pin all of them together and you spend less time? But it also gets very cumbersome to sew. So it's best to sew them one by one and then remove the extra ones, or you know, just do them one by one, and as you finish each one, add another one, pin it together so that it doesn't move. This was a satin type fabric, so I wanted to make sure that it didn't shift as I sewed. The Vevor, I have to tell you, was a powerful machine. I loved how fast it was, and I love the fact that even though it has a pedal, I actually used the pedal with my hands. As you can see, I have it right there because I like to stand when I am sewing. Now, I've pulled it all inside out, as you can see there, and all I'm doing now is putting some stuffing in it to create this little pillow. I think it came out, I love it. I think it's really cool looking. I don't know, I have to try different patterns, but the way it came out looks very elegant and, you know, kind of vintagey, I think. And I really just enjoyed using the Vevor machine. It was fantastic. Lightweight. I could put it right under my desk on a shelf that I have under my desk, and instead of having to look for another space for it all over the craft room, it fits on this little, you know, desk shelf that I have. All I'm doing here is I just got a piece of a branch from outside, and I'm adding some embellishments to really bring the fall to life on this little pumpkin. I love it. It's so cute. Again, I just wish I'd made it bigger. And now all I'm doing is adding this sparkly, beautiful black leaf. And I decided that it needed something more because it was this romantic rose patterned fabric. I thought it needed like the little beads or the little seeds on the side, as you'll see that I'm adding now. And then I decided to add a white rose, but I wanted to touch the tips of the rose with a little bit of black paint, and then also add a little glitter to it, a little bit of glam and glitter to it. And I think that's really what made it come to life, that little rose. If not, it would have just disappeared in the background. And there you have it, my romantic black and white rose fabric pumpkin. Thanks for sticking around, and if you like what you've seen so far, please remember to like, share, and subscribe. I've had this candelabra sitting around the house for 25 years. That's why it looks so bad. So I thought it's time for a refurb. And I have to remind you that most of the things I've gotten today, I've only bought one thing, which was the skirt. So here I am taking that candelabra apart to clean it, to see if I can salvage it in any way, and it wasn't salvageable. It was a mess. So let's paint it black. If you can't fix it, paint it. So that's exactly what I did. Now, I've gotten these little spoons. These are the little appetizer spoons from Dollar Tree, and a candle. Yes, Annie and fire, let's go. Let's do this. So what I'm doing here is I'm heating up the little bowl of the spoon, then using some of these little tongs. What are they called? Yeah, I guess tongs. I don't know. You know what it is. Pincers, whatever they're called. I am going to bend and shape that little spoon, and I'm going to create silver roses. Yes, you heard me right. If you haven't seen me do this before, this is one of my favorite things to do. I could sit and make these little roses for hours on end. They're so much fun to make. So all I'm doing is taking each spoon one by one, and first I create the little rosebud, as you saw there, and now as I soften these plastic spoons, I mold them into these rose petals, and I'm adding the little rose petals one by one and fortifying them with heat. It almost feels like I'm soldering them together. That's pretty much what it feels like and it looks like. So here I am just taking apart one of the petals, as you can see, and as you can see, I just bend and twist that little spoon handle right off, and then I melt the plastic at the bottom of that leaf, and then I just add it to the rosebud. Again, I'm not putting the plastic spoon straight into the fire because number one, it will burn, and number two, it will cover your little leaf and your rose full of soot. So just be patient, be slow, and take your time. Again, the first time you do this, it might not come out perfect, and you might have to use glue, and that is absolutely fine. But if you get to master this correctly, and there you see, I had to heat it up just a little bit more just to add that last little leaf, and it should hold together and fasten together with the other leaves and the other rose petals, I should say, with the heat. Now, I have taken this black candelabra And what's cool about these roses is that you can paint them any color. And initially I thought I would paint them black, the same as the candelabra. But you tell me, what do you think? Should I go back and paint them black or leave them silver? Now, I am so sorry about the angle. I've moved my camera around. I have another camera that's not as good as my original camera, but the other one just finally died on me. So this is my backup camera. Always have a backup. Always have a backup. So here I am adding the roses with a little E6000 and some hot glue, and there you have it. But now let's see the final reveal, and you tell me what you think. Should I paint it black or leave them silver? I think it matches perfectly with my little pumpkin. Thank you once again to my dear sweet friends, Monica, Jody, Lisa, Dawn, and Zaina for inviting me to be part of this wonderful collaboration. Please remember to check on the description down below for a full playlist as well as a link to all of these channels. They are wonderful crafters and very sweet dear friends of mine. You are also a very sweet dear friend of mine, and if you're new, I ask you to please like, share, and subscribe and come back for more. But most importantly, stay safe, be kind, God bless each and every one of you, and remember to live the adventure. I'll see you soon!